The first thing that I really wanted to talk about is this notion of listening and really coming up with a different way of listening right now. We've had a lot of conversations with folks around, do you stop your surveys right now? How do you listen? And so what I thought while we're getting ready to have a conversation with all of you is to kind of walk through some things that I've learned and that we're finding to be really powerful right now around listening and feedback. And so here's what's important about this right now. The first thing is, as you are thinking about how do you find out what's going on with your customers to add value to them, is you need to make a mind shift, a brain shift, an attitude shift from validating to understanding. And what I mean by that is that in a lot of our work, and sometimes in how we've built surveys or asked questions, we've built out a set of precepts or things that we want to find out. And we want to find out how we did in those things. Well, now those things that are important that we thought was important to measure or find out or shift from have changed. And so we need to recognize that what we were asking about previous to today, to what happened with COVID, is not really necessarily the things that are important to your customers. So this is an attitude shift as you're leading change inside of your organization, as you're working with your leaders, in order to be relevant, in order to be a part of the story of their life in this moment. We need to shift from validating our already developed questions to understanding what's important now. The second thing that I think that I'd love to talk to you about is how you should listen. And what I call this is really listening with humanity. And what this means is stopping perhaps the traditional paperwork survey or email survey, and instead start to bring together, for example, groups of customers, non-competing groups, and simply ask them how they're doing, what's important to them, what do they need. What we've been finding is tickling out and understanding, first of all, a couple weeks ago, the very, very important things around shifting our business and helping our employees stay safe and taking care of our people was the priority. Now, as people are getting into the groove that business is going to go on, their goals and needs are going to be different, but you're not going to be able to write a survey fast enough or understand even what the questions are. So build and do what I call fearless human listening. Bring groups of customers together, as well as make this the time that you require all of your leaders, as far down as you can go, as far across as you can go in the organization, in having personal video conversations with customers. The other thing I want to suggest is smash the rules on who does the listening. Let's make sure we get call center people on the line, people who build things on these calls, the people in the back room, as well as the front line and your leadership team. But what we're finding is the innovation we need right now to solve, identify, and define and come up with these agile solutions really quickly will require all of us. And we're also going to find inside of our organizations that there's part of the organization that can now shift. And that is creating a spirit inside of companies and raising everyone. The other thing I'm going to reiterate again is I love what's happening as we're talking to people about our leaders really sitting on their couches in sweaters and being comfortable, and the dog walks by or their wife shows up, is this whole thing around kind of piercing that wall, piercing the veneer of how we're packaged. So make sure that as you have these conversations with customers, that they're on video, whatever your version is. I think that what's going to happen is forevermore, your customers are going to start to see your company different. What I love is when you are attracted and bonded to a company that you love, think about how you think about them. You define who they are in human characteristics. So make sure that you get those leaders on video. The fifth big thing is ask them about their goals. What's interesting as we've been really focusing on journey mapping or understanding priority areas is we're missing sometimes the higher level that we can participate and support in people's lives. And so ask the question about what's your goal now? What are the top 3 things that you need to accomplish? And by doing that, we can also then shift the language of our leaders and focus your people on those goal priorities. I've actually started calling this goal mapping versus journey mapping, because it really gets us singularly focused on where we make sure people can say, because I achieved this goal, they were there, they helped me with this. And then the last thing that is so important, I call it marketing hope. We need to really have the ability to understand and market hope with our customers, with our employees, of what we're doing, of what's working, of what's not.